There's a lot of bids. Jerry, listen, good to go. Okay.
Probably 60. They emailed me about something.
You like the yeah, you come up with a line where It was years ago.
Commissioner, whenever you're ready. Commissioner Mercer.
I give it to you. We'll be good. That hazmat issue. Not what, that's fine. We're not going to finish that until she retires.
You help yourself to whatever you would like to do.
We will report that. Yeah, but I got mine too.
I feel you.
They've come in.
I had three
I think
others.
nobody did anything wrong. But I think
Are you taking
30-some years ago.
Well, we're good.
It was kind of not line of and different people. You too.
Well, and you had the upstairs,
That would
stairs.
Why would you?
I made it.
Why would you want?
We did that because I thought you might want to just do HR. Wasn't sure if we wanted to do HR or not today or Thursday.
Yeah, that's fine. We just that outside. Yeah, absolutely. Where is Tony? Here he is.
It's a good question. Now,
Like your mask.
I would say at one point, you know, it's a large organization. You got
Good morning. Please rise for the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day that you have made. We are in awe of your creation and beauty. Whether it's the majestic mountains that surround us, the birds that share their songs, or the goodness that we see in mankind, let us take time to reflect on the creation and beauty that surround us each and every day. Lord, our colleges have started their sessions, and the schools are on the horizon and embark on another year. Protect the students, teachers, and staff throughout the year. Provide them good health and safety. Father, guide us this morning as we conduct the business of the county. Grant us your wisdom and clarity in your decisions and ours. We ask for your blessing in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, we'll convene the Commissioners' meeting at this time. Ask for approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
I move to approve.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. So carried. Public comment on agenda items only at this time. Hearing none, we'll move on.
That takes us to the bid openings, 2.0.
Am I okay back here?
Krista Rogers is in the back.
It looks like it's gonna take us a while.
It is.
Could we move this?
Well, there are RFPs, so I would defer to the solicitor if they have to be opened in a public meeting.
I think what you could have her do is just go through the process of opening them here, but not defer the meeting. Okay?
Well, I just meant, postponing them to get, until we get,
Later in the meeting.
later in the meeting.
You could do that as well, Commissioner.
Yeah,
It's your-
okay.
it's your option.
Yeah, this way we
Yeah.
can get some people out of here.
You want to start to open them, and then we'll go over them later in the meeting.
Oh, yeah, sure, I
Yep,
can do that.
so we can proceed with the meeting instead of holding up everybody.
Do you want to hold off on the cash requirements report then?
No, we can.
Okay. Can you do the cash requirements report?
Yes.
Okay.
The total check voucher total this week is $1,740,251.77. The large county payments, largest is actually to payment 3 of 4 to the library system. And then from there, we have the transfer of the hotel tax to the Visitors Bureau. And then just, there's 4 other checks starting at 19,000 down to 15,000 for some payments that are included in that total.
Okay, any discussion or questions on the cash requirements summary?
I have none.
Have a motion?
Big chunk is RMS also, which
Yeah,
pays their own way.
yeah, that's more than half of the total.
Yeah.
Right.
I have a motion to accept.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so carried. Thank you, Chris.
Yes.
Roxanne Greco, 4.0 TDA action.
Morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. We're asking you to update the TDA in voter services, the creation of 1 part-time clerk 3 position, pay grade 4.
A motion to accept.
I'll move to accept.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So carried.
Moving on to personnel actions, in the district attorney's office, Brittany Ongst has a full-time replacement clerk 3, pay grade 4, $13.95 an hour, effective August 31st, 2020. In RMS, transfer station, Jeff O'Connor as a full-time replacement truck driver, pay grade 6, $16.59 an hour, effective August 31st, 2020. At the prison, Alexa E. McDevitt is a full-time replacement correctional officer relief in the reserve spot, pay grade CO1, $17.23 hourly, effective September 1st, 2020. At the prison, Taylor A. Emmerich, a full-time replacement correctional officer relief, pay grade CO1, $17.23 an hour, effective September 22nd, 2020. At the prison, Olivia L. Katzmeyer as a full-time replacement correctional officer relief, male/female, pay grade CO1, $17.23 hourly, effective September 8th, 2020. And finally, at the prison, Trenton E. Peasley, full-time replacement correctional officer relief, pay grade CO1, $17.23 an hour, effective September 1st, 2020.
Okay, so these are all replacement positions, and the majority of them being at the prison to keep the prison running.
Exactly.
Okay. Any comments?
No, just backing up, I might just make a comment on that part-time voter services, that we're doing that to make sure that we have all of our folks in place and are able to process any paper ballots that come in, so I think that gives some reassurance to the public. We're putting a part-time person in there.
Mail-in.
Mail-in, right. Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion to accept personnel actions.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so carried. Thank you, and we'll recess the commissioners meeting at this time, go to salary board.
Commissioners, we're asking you to approve an update to the salary schedule, and that would be in the Voter Services Department. the creation of the one part-time clerk 3 position at a pay grade 4.
And again, it's just during the election time, during the primary season and the general election to assist them with the overload that they anticipate is going to happen through the mail-in ballot process. Okay, have any discussion? Motion to accept?
So moved, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you. We'll reconvene the Commissioners' public meeting at this time. Reports, information.
So we'll start with Jason Yorks. Are you on the line? He has 7.1, an informational item.
Okay.
Morning.
Morning.
Commissioners, we'll be going out, our money will be going out today for the replacement of the conveyor at the transfer station. This was part of our rebuild of the transfer station we identified last year and we budgeted for this year. So it is a budgeted item in 2020 for replacement of the conveyor and the subframe and everything that goes with it. The bids are due September 17th, 5 p.m. at the controller's office. We will open them on September 22nd. We do have a pre-bid mandatory meeting August 25th at the transfer station at 1:30 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
7.2, we have Jason Fink here with an informational item.
Morning, Jason.
Good morning, Commissioners. Pleased to be able to share with you reports with regards to the Small Business Relief Fund that we did the second round of funding. That was through primarily your funding assistance. You were able to provide us with $150,000. That we were able to put in another $50,000 to have $100,000 in grants and $100,000 in loans to be able to provide out to businesses. We had, in our first round, just to give you a little understanding of that first round, we had been able to provide assistance to 89 businesses. This second round, we were able to fund 92 businesses. We have, I'll have a report here I can share with you at this time.
Thank you.
You will see that all of the businesses that are here are very small businesses. A number of them are businesses that are just trying to get themselves back on their feet. We have, daycare centers. We have a number of restaurants that are on there. And I can tell you from the perspective of how we handled this, we have some paperwork that's required to be able to just cut the checks because we do run this through our foundation. Each business that was receiving funding had to provide us with a completed W-9. And as soon as we got that W-9, we were able to get checks out. We had staff actually driving checks out. We did that in the first round. We were doing this in the second round as well. I can tell you, reports back from staff said that the businesses were very appreciative. It provided them with a level of support that they did not think was out there. And they greatly appreciated the fact because we made sure that they knew that the county was heavily involved with this round. They greatly appreciated the county stepping in. One business, for example, I can tell you from a staff person who reported back to me that they were dropping off the check to a local restaurant here in the county, and as they were getting that dropped off, the person said, "Thank you very much. I have insurance that I need to cut a check for, and I didn't know where that money was going to come from." So from that aspect of it, this is the type of assistance that we were able to provide. And I greatly appreciate your investment and your partnership in this because this is definitely something that none of us asked for. And I can tell you these businesses did not have a great comfort level in wanting to seek assistance, but they needed to, and we strongly encouraged them to do it. And we hope that this will get them through some tough times here. So with that, I want to thank you all for this partnership, and I'll answer any questions that you have at this time.
Yeah, Jason, first of all, I'd like to thank you and all of the chamber staff for taking an active role to assist our local businesses while they're improvising and developing new strategies to be creative and to survive these controversial times. There are many businesses that have been knocked on their butts and are at great risk of closing their doors through no fault of their own. We hope and we pray these grants and loans will back them up on their feet and buy them more time to become more adaptive and more innovative to meet the challenges that they face. The county's received a COVID-19 relief package of over $10 million. There will be more money available out of those revenues to further assist them in the time of their need. I can tell you this is very troubling when you hear some of the closures that are going to be facing, metropolitan areas as well as some rural areas, where at this time there are areas where 1 in 6 businesses have closed. 1 in 6. So imagine the people that are not going to have a job to go back to. Okay, and if this continues into 2021, it could be possibly half. We need to find a solution, and we need to do it quickly for the benefit of America. Thanks again for everything you've done, and you've done a great job since you've taken over, and in some trying times.
Jason, I want to thank you and the chamber for what you've done. It's been tremendous efforts, and we're blessed to have you and the chamber in our community. Small businesses nationally make up 55% of America. It is businesses of 100 people or less. In Lycoming County, it's even more. Pennsylvania, it's 70% of small businesses make up Pennsylvania. And due to no fault of their own, they were closed. They were told initially 2 weeks. Well, you see what 2 weeks has turned into. And many of them have already closed their doors across Pennsylvania, unfortunately. Businesses that have been established and operating for 80 plus years, and their doors are now closed. We're fortunate enough that we can help these businesses that are the backbone of this county and this state. It's a privilege to call these businesses our neighbors and friends because they're the good, hard-working people that make up this county, that make it better, that provide employment to our residents. And all they want to do is have their doors open 100% capacity. And they've been now restricted to 25%, many of them. And they're sleepless at night trying to figure out how they're going to operate, how they're going to support their own families, their employees' families. And this is just a small way that we can keep them going. And again, we have to move forward safely and cautiously, but at the same time give them the opportunity because they are the most creative people in the world. You see it as they're remaining open. Even at 25% capacity, the ideas they're coming up with to stay afloat are incredible. And this week alone, we're dearly missing one of our spotlights with the Little League World Series, and that's a loss of $35 to $40 million in our community. And a lot of those businesses depend on that income to get them through the year, and that will never be able to be made up. So we look forward to the series next year and to ways we can continue to support our businesses locally. Go out and eat in establishments, buy locally. For the big box stores to be able to remain open, and the small businesses that sell the same products to be told to stay closed during this pandemic has been wrong. It's been wrong. And so we'll continue to support our small business in any way we can
so that we can keep our community going and thriving in the future. Thank you for your work.
You know, it's interesting that if you look at the small business definition, they say under 500 employees. That's the way the Small Business Administration defines it. We know from looking at this list that, heck, I bet if some of these folks have more than 20 employees, we're pushing it. And actually, in Pennsylvania, there are about 197,000 small businesses with less than 20 employees. So there's no question they make up the backbone of our employment. One of the encouraging notes also, I want to thank you in the Chamber, but also that half of the businesses in the last round were not members of the Chamber.
Correct.
And I suspect the numbers were probably similar here.
Actually bigger this time around.
Bigger this time.
Yep.
So that's good. So it means that we're reaching out to all parts of our business community, and you folks should be recognized for doing that. That's very, very helpful. But you know, there's still a lot of road to go ahead. There are lots of behind the businesses, the people who own the businesses are also the workers who are living with the anxiety of every day not knowing. You know, in the public sector, for the most part, although people are working from home, we've been continuing to be able to keep people. And that's a positive thing because it keeps our community strong. But I do want to thank you and thank the Chamber, and hopefully we'll be working together on the 10.2 that Commissioner Messere referred to.
Thank you, and I appreciate everybody's comments. I do want to make sure that I note it wasn't just myself or just the Chamber. We had volunteers who reviewed every one of these applications. I mean, we wanted to make sure that we were able to get them funds in a way that would be able to provide the best assistance to these businesses. And I want to make sure we recognize those folks. They are John Hauser, Joe Reichard, Nancy Eischeid from our team, along with from your team, Shannon Rossman and Matt McDermott. So appreciate everybody. They all went through, they all put their time in. And I will tell you, they spent considerable hours reviewing those applications, and it was definitely a very good, rewarding experience, I think, for everybody to be able to go through this, because we got a better understanding of exactly what is happening out there and what we need to be doing here very soon, or we're not going to be able to have these businesses here no matter what efforts we try, because I hate to say it, especially with the restaurants right now, 25% capacity is a struggle for them. But we have winter coming, we have fall, and we have winter, and it's going to get chilly outside. And those outdoor eating opportunities are going to be challenged to entice people to sit out there. And then that's the biggest concern is, you know, hopefully, you know, people are listening, you know, wash your hands. You know, it's not a very challenging thing to do. Wash your hands. Wear your mask when you're out in large public settings. Very simple things, and we can take and get through this. We need to be able to get through this now.
You know, by the way, the $150,000 was Act 13 money. So so the public understands this was not property tax money that we used to fund this.
You know, you mentioned a person there, and Matt McDermott. I don't know if you're on the camera, but would you please stand up and get on the camera here for a second, please?
Great. We are live.
Yeah. Look in there. This is.
Wait, I gotta say something.
Okay,
For the
yeah.
record, it's salmon.
No, I think it's very important that the citizens of Lycoming County recognize who this individual is, because it's truly amazing how he can keep so much in his head, how he is so prepared for most every meeting, and he takes an active role in every step of county government, and then volunteers himself and his services to a project like this, of which he does many more. Matt, we don't thank you enough, and this is just a small token. You know, you get so busy, and we do too, but how we appreciate the services that you give to not only us, but to the citizens of Lycoming County. Thanks a lot.
Stay there. Hutch, come up here for a second.
And this is Jeff Hutchins, our Public Safety Director. I can reassure the public that our county would be in much, much worse shape if it wasn't for these two during this crisis. The hours they have put in during this crisis have been amazing. Initially, in the beginning, when we were trying to do what we were trying to figure out without a playbook, these gentlemen were here to the wee hours of the morning. I was here many nights with Matt till 7, 8 o'clock at night. 10 some nights. His wife wanted to know what to make dinner if he's ever going to come home. Jeff Hutchins, same thing. He was on the phone with them, and I was here to witness it. And without these two in place, we would have been in a bad, bad situation. So I want to thank them personally for their dedication to the county and what they did during this crisis. Commissioner Massar's spot on with Matt being involved in everything, and his expertise, how he can keep everything in his head and go from one subject to the next subject at the drop of a hat is a huge asset for this county, huge asset. So thank you to both of you for what you're doing.
With that, thank you, Commissioners. We appreciate the opportunity to partner with you all on this, and looking forward to other opportunities to work together as well.
Thank you, Jason.
Okay, the next informational item, 7.3, is Maya Tune.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
We're going out to bid for pavement and replacement of pre-release center, livestock view complex, and executive plaza parking lot.
Okay, thank you.
Thursday, we're going to have Wendy Hastings here presenting County Emergency Medical Service Awards. We're also going to present a proclamation for Child Support Month. And 7.6, Commissioners to announce new members of the Lycoming County Recreation Authority.
Okay, thank you.
Are you announcing that on Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay. Krista, are you still opening?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll move to action items.
It's like Christmas morning, right?
No.
Thank you, Jason.
Maya Tune has 8.1 to 8.8. Do you just want to go through them, or do you want me to read each one?
Whatever's
Just
easier, I can
one-
just go through
okay.
them if you'd like.
All right.
The first item I have is an MOU with the City of Williamsport for the 2018 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Grant Program. It's in the amount of $11,403. If you recall, this is what I talked to you about prior during the pandemic. There was monies that were unexpended, and as a result, in order to make sure that those monies were not lost, the county will be acquiring those funds for our own needs and purposes. So this is just an MOU to clarify that the city will no longer receive those funds and it will be transferred to the county. So it is contingent upon council approval, which is scheduled for the 27th. So it'll be on their agenda.
Okay, any discussion? Motion accept.
I'll move to
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner?
Oh, yeah. Aye.
So carried. Thank you.
The next item I have is a third amendment to agreement with Oasis Management Services. This is strictly to extend the term for an additional year or until December 31st, 2021. They provide commissary services to the prison and the pre-release center.
Any discussion? Motion accept.
I'll move to accept.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So carried.
The next item is Resolution 2020, which is for the disposal of surplus property in excess of $1,000. And we have 5 different lots, all of which are generators from either transfer switches out at the Department of Public Safety.
Any discussion on Resolution 2020? Motion to accept.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All fair side?
Aye.
So carried.
The next item I have is a 2-year victim witness services grant application, which we are going to submit to PCCB. This is a renewal that we submit every 2 years. It's for the district attorney's office. It's strictly for salaries. It's for the juvenile side and adult side of victim witness services, and it's to pay for their salary and also their fringe.
Okay. Troy Silver's doing both, or is he just the
No,
adult
Troy
side?
does adult. He's in both, but Laura Weeks is on the juvenile side.
Okay.
But they're pretty much a team. I think they, in most cases, handle both sides.
Okay. Motion to accept.
I'll move to accept.
I'll second.
All fair side?
Aye.
The next item I have is the fiscal year 2021 Radiation Emergency Response Fund Grant Agreement with PEMA. It's in the amount of $5,876. Again, this is a renewal grant application as well. And it helps offset our preparedness costs associated with if there would be a radiation response.
Okay.
And a lot of these are, I don't want to call them perfunctory, but these are contracts we do at the beginning of each fiscal year, right?
For these ones, we put in an application probably like 2 months ago, and now they've just now formalized it with an approval process.
Yeah.
Which is a grant agreement.
But I mean, a lot of them on this list are because we're starting a new fiscal year, right?
Yeah, for the most part,
July 1st.
yes.
Yep, okay.
And this is between PEMA and the sub-recipient consideration of the work funds.
Excuse me, sorry.
This is the agreement between the PEMA and the sub-recipient of this.
Yeah, we are the direct recipient of the
Right.
funds. Yeah,
Okay.
and DPS administers the program.
Okay.
Yeah.
A motion to accept.
I'll move to accept.
I'll second.
All fair side?
Aye.
The next item I have is an agreement with Emergent Broadcasting Company to program, manage, operate, and provide closed captioning services for Channel 75, based off of the costs associated with Exhibit A. I don't know if you had more questions on that, but I know Todd's here to elaborate should you want to have further discussion.
And these funds are coming from where at exactly?
While we are trying to recoup these funds with COVID monies, we are looking, I'll be putting actually a needs assessment form in on behalf of the commissioners to help offset those costs. Some we will be able to capture in its entirety, like the equipment hardware, but for the some things for services ongoing, obviously outside of December 30th, we would not be able to capture. So that would have to be something budgeted for future use moving forward from on to 2021 and further.
I noticed the agreement was dated back to August 1st.
Mhm.
Why is that?
That was requested by Todd.
Okay. I would have an issue with that personally. I think it should be when he starts the work.
Well, he's not gonna bill until,
Yeah.
I mean, I think the majority of it is that he had to put in purchases in order to do all that. Anything that would be dated those time would have to be in the time frame for which the contract is. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I'm assuming that's the majority of the reason why.
I'm comfortable with you on a little bit, September 1.
Okay.
I wonder if we want to do this on Thursday.
Then we can do it Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll hold off on this to Thursday. And Todd, can you be here Thursday? Okay.
Would you like me to just make it contingent upon approval? The agreement, or do you want me to date it back to September 1? Because do it September
Date it back to
1.
September 1.
Okay,
And then we'll discuss it and have a decision on Thursday.
okay.
Okay?
Yep, so I'll revise that then.
Great, thank you.
The next item I have is a second amendment to agreement with Port Security Partners, known as Select Security. It's to extend the project completion date to December 31st, 2020, and this is to complete the courthouse access control project.
Okay, any discussion on this action item? Motion to accept.
I'll move to accept.
I'll second.
All fair side?
All right.
Aye, so carried.
The next item I have is the second amendment to agreement with, it's a 3-year lease agreement with Lycoming County Housing Authority. This is for NDJ Fry. It's in the amount of $2,877 a month. This is for a 3-year contract as stated, but at any time, we would be able to get out of the lease should we feel we want to find another location.
What time period to notify?
What's that?
What time period to notify to get out of the lease?
I think it's a 60-day notice.
60, okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And when is that lease due?
This actually started May 1st.
May 1st.
Yeah. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic and the board not meeting, and then we had to work out through some negotiations.
So we retroactive to May 1st.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was no rent increase either over the time, so.
What was the monthly amount?
$2,877.
Any discussion? Motion to accept.
So moved.
I'll second.
All fair side?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, 8.9, with Tiffany from Planning Department, Resolution 2020-17.
Morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. This morning, we have a resolution to adjust the county subdivision land development fee schedule. The update, or we have not updated our fee schedule since 2011, and it actually hasn't increased since 2004. We've gone over these fees with the Planning Commission, and we referenced local subdivision land development fee schedules to make sure that we're consistent with other municipalities in the area. And we're covering we're not making any money off of this. We are just covering some of our costs that are involved with the subdivision land development ordinance administration.
So there hasn't been an increase in 16 years?
Nope.
Yeah. Okay. Any discussion on this? Motion to accept.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All fair side?
Aye.
Aye. So carried.
And Tiffany also has 8.10 for Resolution 2020-18.
All right, so this is a resolution to increase the partnership fee. This is a fee that we charge to municipalities based on their per capita rate. It's increasing 25 cents. You saw this earlier this year, and you voted on it, and one of the municipalities saw that there was an issue with that for their budgeting for this year. So you decided to postpone this until 2021. So we're just reviewing this again with you, make sure that we have it ready to go for 2021. These fees are used to help cover costs for services that we provide to the municipality outside of normal permit reviews. So any questions that they have for us, any coordination with them on different issues, we use this to help cover those fees.
Okay. And when was the last time this was increased, you know?
I don't remember that one off the top of my head. I forgot to look at that one ahead of time, but it's been a couple of years, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we increased it maybe in 2016 or 17.
Yeah, it was either, it might have been 4 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's important to say, you know, our employees here at the county, they get paid, you know, through property taxes. But as we try to seek ways of improving the efficiencies of all governments, okay, we have to pass on some of that cost to the municipalities. Or municipalities would have duplications of staff. So I think we're doing a good job, and we did not have any resistance, to my knowledge, with the exception of not having it done, during your budget process, which we said we would wait until 2021.
And we communicated with them in July when we send them the notice that the invoice for services, that it was going to increase in the next year. So they're on notice that it's going on.
And the bridge bundling program is another good example of, the county, we had no bridges that we had to worry about, but we took the initiative to make sure that happened so that they could afford to put the bridges in and around the county. And Tiffany, I appreciate all the work you've done with the Planning Commission, and thank you for your service.
Good point. And for instance, the county planning department, each municipality and township could not afford their own planning department. And what our county planning department brings in and grants and programs for all those different municipalities is millions and millions and millions of dollars. So thank you for your work and what you do for the county. It benefits all of the county.
I have some really good staff that work under me as well.
Great. Okay. A motion to accept 2020 of 18 resolution.
I'll move to, I'll second.
All fair side?
Aye.
Aye, so carried. Thank you.
8.11, Jenny Pacciano is here in place of Kristen for fiscal year 2018 CDBG cooperation agreement.
Good morning.
Hello, Commissioners. And I'm also going to ask for a vote on these items as well today, if possible. Item 8.11 is the fiscal year 2018 Community Development Block Grant Resolution on behalf of Community of Montoursville, and that will be for reconstruction of the curb cuts and handicap ramps throughout the borough.
Any discussion? A motion to accept action item 8.11.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
8.12.
Sure. This is a vote on the Fair Housing Resolution for our 2020-2021 Community Development Block Grant Program. Every year we do have to adopt a Fair Housing Resolution for our federal funding programs to pass along the requirements to our subrecipients and verify that the county is following fair housing guidelines.
Quick question for you. I noticed that we left off with Tiffany on resolution 20-18. This is 21. Are 19 and 20 placeholders, or?
20 you did earlier, that was Maya's.
Yeah.
Oh, we did Maya,
And,
okay.
Yeah.
What about
other-
19?
That one is, I think you voted on that. I can't tell you what it is.
Okay, so long as we're
not skipping them.
we're not skipping. Okay, great, thanks. I'll move to approve the resolution.
I'll second that motion, but, with the fair funds and PHFA, I remember coming back, coming as a commissioner in 2012, and hearing some of the nightmare stories as far as funding for those organizations. They were basically broke, and the impact fee from the gas industry brought them back. Okay, and we're starting. Well, we have been seeing the advantages of the impact fee and how FAIR and PHFA has contributed back to our area in so many ways. But I also want to, and I do not even remember all the people that are on the board of the Housing Alliance, but they're volunteers.
And the Housing Coalition as well.
And the Housing Coalition as well. And someday we should recognize them for their services, because I don't ever remember giving any proclamations out to them, and they put a lot of time into it. So keep that on your plate.
All right. Just wrote it down.
I have a motion.
Oh, I think I made one,
No,
but I'll
okay.
make it again.
Okay.
I seconded it.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And 8.13, Jenny, this is for 2020-22.
Yes. This item is a resolution to authorize the submission of the grant application to DCED, so the Department of Community and Economic Development, for the Community Development Block Grant COVID relief funds. This year we received additional funding outside of our regular Community Development Block Grant program, specifically for the COVID crisis. So the application is due next week, and we are working with CEDACOG to apply. And this is a vote to pass the resolution. And the funded projects that were discussed at the public hearing the other week include STEP for their supportive housing program, and that will go to assist individuals with mortgage and rental assistance. American Rescue Workers, and that's with rental and utility assistance. The Central Pennsylvania Food Bank, and that's to help provide food for Lycoming County residents, and the North Central Site Services, and that has to do with transportation for individuals to and from different places in the county.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Motion to accept.
I'll move to accept.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
8.14 through 8.23.
Good morning, Mark.
Good
Mark
morning,
Egley.
Commissioners. Got a number of action items for your consideration today. And the first being, the first two agreements are with, first is with Diacon Family Life Services for outpatient mental health assessment and treatment services. This is a contract for last fiscal year. It would run from July 1st of 19 through June 30th of 20. And I have another contract with Crossroads for the same services for the same period of time. And they have various, obviously, hourly rates that are applicable. Those rates did not change from last year to this year, because then the next items are renewal of those contracts again for the 2021 fiscal year.
Yeah, and Mark, if you would please speak in that microphone, because I think it's very important to understand that our state passed a budget that only included the first 5 months.
That's correct. However, the child welfare budget was approved for an entire
For the
12-month period.
okay,
So
for the entire
the rest
12
of the
months.
human service budget only runs through till November.
Till November, okay.
Correct. So yes.
Very good.
There was a decrease, right,
Yeah.
in the
We
appropriation?
did experience a minor reduction in some funding levels, but we will be okay in Lycoming County.
Good.
Very good.
Okay. Any discussion further on action item 8.14? A motion.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So carried.
Next is the same type of agreement with Crossroads Counseling. They provide similar services.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So carried.
The same with Diacon. The next one is the contract renewal for the current fiscal year. Again, there's no change in the fee schedule associated with those services.
Now, you have two Diacon contracts, right?
Correct.
The very first
They were
one?
both, they're for two separate fiscal years.
Right,
So,
okay.
Yep.
I'll move
Motion.
to approve the second Diacon.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So carried.
And then the renewal of the Crossroads agreement is the next item for the same services.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So carried.
Between both of those programs, last fiscal year, we spent less than $5,000. Mainly, obviously, if our families and clients are medical assistance eligible, that will pay for the service. These are for services that are either not eligible or the families that we're providing that service to don't have that type of coverage.
So, Mark, do you know how much was Medicaid eligible?
I do not.
Okay, the large majority of it is, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the public understands the majority of those costs for children and youth are being billed back on the mental health, on the behavioral health
Medical
side.
assistance,
Medical
yes.
assistance. It's when we have families that don't have medical assistance because they are in a higher income bracket, but we still have an obligation to provide services for the children.
Correct.
Okay.
And there are some services, for example, when you're bonding evaluation for potential adoption or those types of things are something that isn't covered by medical assistance, and we have to do those to satisfy requirements before the court.
Do you know if they've seen an increase during the COVID crisis with addiction or depression, suicide?
Well, I certainly think the pandemic has impacted a lot of our families who struggle in many ways. They struggle a lot even without the pandemic, but obviously this has created additional stress in their lives. So yes, we're unfortunately, because of schools and a lot of the environments where children are seen have been restricted or closed down, our referrals had dropped off there in the spring. We're closer to normal now, but still I expect to see quite a bit of growth coming with the start of the school season, school year. So we're concerned about that, and concerned obviously about housing stability. Obviously there's been a moratorium on evictions, and when that expires, I expect to also deal with increased referrals related to homelessness.
Thank you.
My next item is a contract with Susquehanna, or UPMC Susquehanna Home Care and Hospice to help fund the Nurse Family Partnership Program. It's in the amount of $80,000. And this is considered an evidence-based program where we receive 95% of the funding from the state. It only requires a 5% local match.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next, I have an agreement with Geisinger Clinic for the Children's Advocacy Center of Central Susquehanna Valley. They provide forensic child abuse interviews at the rate of $100 per interview. Last year we spent $4,700, so we did 47 forensic interviews at the Children's Advocacy Center. And this is a contract renewal for the current year and no change in rate.
Okay. A motion to accept?
Yeah, I would add that anyone that would like to become a volunteer for CASA, please step up.
Correct. My next item is CASA.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a second on this, action item 19.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there was a motion on it. I'll move to approve.
Motion, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'll move to approve the Geisinger agreement.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Mark, I just want to go back to
Sure.
action item 818 for a minute, and you said that 95% would be by federal monies.
State money.
State monies, and then 5% would be matched by county.
Correct.
And again, this is, I just wanted the public to know that Mr. Egley does this on a regular basis. He leverages monies to assist the county in so many different ways. And you're very good at it, and thank you for doing that. You find the monies from the state, and then you leverage it, and that's leveraging the county dollars to the maximum possibility, so we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next, we have the agreement, the contract with CASA. They provide, it's Voices for Children. They provide child advocacy services for kids that are petitioned before the court. This is a contract renewal, and it's for the same amount as last year of $30,000.
Okay. And Commissioner Massar is right, we're looking for volunteers. CASA is a great organization, and if you can volunteer for it, it'd be wonderful.
You know, is CASA getting contributions from all the counties? Do you know?
All but one right now.
All but one.
Yes.
I remember a number of years back when Commissioner Massar and Commissioner McKernan were meeting with CASA. There was an inverse relationship between the contribution and how many kids needed services. So those counties that contributed actually had fewer kids, which says something positive about what all these programs do. And the one county that didn't contribute had like 400 kids
Not quite that many,
Not
but.
quite. It was a
yeah.
huge number.
Yeah.
It was a huge number. So I think that the public should feel good about that. These types of programs actually get results.
It helps move children through the court system a little more expeditiously.
Yeah.
I have a motion.
I'll move to approve the cost agreement.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so carried.
Next is the renewal of our contract with John Petrovito. He serves as the solicitor representing the agency before the court on dependency matters. There is no change in his contracted rate from the prior fiscal year.
Okay. Any discussion? A motion?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so carried.
Next, I have a substitute guardian ad litem agreement with Taylor Mulholland to provide substitute guardian services when our normally appointed guardian is not available or there would be a conflict. And this is renewal of her contract from the prior fiscal year as well.
Any discussion? A motion?
I move.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So carried.
The same with Patty Shipman, also serves as a substitute guardian ad litem, and the same would be the case with her contract. It's a renewal from last year, the same rate.
Any discussion? A motion?
I move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Just for informational purposes, last year we spent less than $1,000 with substitute guardian ad litems over the course of the entire fiscal year, so it's really not a large amount. It's just one of those things that when you need a guardian to be available for a hearing, we need to have somebody available.
Okay, thank you.
And that's it.
Okay,
Are
thank
you able to use the basement
The basement?
at the Sharwell
Yes.
building? Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Our issue has been resolved,
Thank God.
so yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
8.24, Director McDermott, speaking in regards to KOZ extension at Timber Run Industrial Park.
Commissioners, on Thursday will be seeking approval of KOZ extension at the Timber Run Industrial Park. It's just, it's time to do some maintenance to the existing KOZ. We're going to have to drop out a little bit of the property based on some guidance that we received from TCED, totaling about 50 acres, which somehow sneaked through in the last extension and wasn't supposed to be there, so some house cleaning there, housekeeping. And we will extend the KOZ in the interest of some economic development, future projects coming up.
Okay, thank you.
Krista, are you ready?
I am.
Okay.
You want me to do
You're going to just do the items and get those out of the way first?
Sure.
Okay. So 8.25, 8.26, and 8.27 are all Krista.
The first one is for military contributions for Jonathan Rachel. According to Act 96 of the county pension law, any county employee with at least 6 months service time who has enlisted in the military and is called to active duty shall have credited to his or her employment records for retirement benefits such active duty service time, and contributions be credited to his or her retirement fund with interest for that period. The Controller's Office is requesting a check generated in the amount of $2,356.39 to be deposited into the fund of Jonathan Rachel for active military duty from 10/17/19 to 8/11/2020.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Rachel for his service to our country. And then any discussion? No motion?
I move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Quick question for you. We'll make sure that this is put in as a non-taxable event, right? Because it isn't being withdrawn.
It would still have to be taxed at retirement.
No, not retirement, I mean, currently.
It won't be taxed.
Okay, all right. I just don't want them to get jammed up.
The other two items are kind of in conjunction. If it's okay, I'm just gonna read from the email I sent you three. Is that okay?
Mhm.
After the last retirement board. For 2019, the county was short $400,000 and contributed to the budgeted actuarial estimated contribution of $1,808,922. For 2020 to date, nothing has been contributed to the required contribution of $1,945,000. No, what did I say? $1,945,444. This is the adjusted contribution that includes the updated mortality tables that the retirement board voted to approve last week. The budgeted amount estimated for 2020 was $1,999,996. I think the first item was the retirement board voted to recommend to the Board of Commissioners setting up a standing monthly payment to the retirement fund of 1/12 of this required contribution starting January 1st, 2021. So that is the action item that we're currently on. And just for the record, I guess, this required contribution is based on actuarial calculations that keeps the retirement fund strong enough to pay for current retirees and current employees that they're looking at as future retirees, so that it doesn't become more of a tax burden to the county residents in the future. And it's because we have a defined contribution fund per the law in the state of Pennsylvania.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, could I have a motion?
I'm trying to think of which one we're moving on, but
It's
I
the
will
month,
move
setting up a monthly payment
8.26.
starting. Yes.
Okay.
Each month.
Yeah, I'll move to set up a standing monthly payment to the retirement fund of 1/12 of the ADEC, starting 1/1/21.
A second? I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, that carries 2-1 vote.
And the last item is to talk about what or how to contribute into the retirement fund for the same item, but for the 2021 or 2020 contribution, which is now $1,945,444, which is less than you budgeted. You have options: one-time payment, 4 payments over the next few months. I'd need the commissioners to tell me, as secretary of the retirement board, how and what you would like to pay, so we can get checks into the retirement fund before the end of the year, which will also affect your 2021 estimate.
So, I'm sorry.
The actuary will take that into consideration, and it will reduce your 2021 estimate.
So let me, just on the last vote that we had, one of the reasons that I believe it's important to do this is because we find ourselves, not necessarily out of malfeasance, but we find that the year goes by and we haven't made the contribution to the fund, and it would be analogous to, not paying your mortgage. You say you don't put it on automatic payment, and then you find that you've got several months of the year you haven't paid it. The pension fund was completely funded by employees up until about 19.
Not just employees, it was employees and returns on investment.
Right,
But
right.
this type of fund was never set up for the county not to contribute, but it never did until 2005, I
Right.
think it was.
Right, and part of that was due to the, the various economic circumstances that happened, but,
And it was a younger fund. It's an older fund now, where our number of retirees outnumber our employees.
right. The whole system of having, defined benefit plan is set by statute in Pennsylvania for county. I happen to personally believe that it is a good practice because it means that after putting in 30 or 40 years with the county, people have something that they can look forward to retire with a certain amount of dignity. And I'll tell you that there are many, many people in the community who are literally trying to get by. Many of them are women on $900 or $1,000 a month, because oftentimes they outlive their husbands. Those who are fortunate enough to have a husband who had a pension are at least being taken care of in their old age. And it's just a statistical fact that the women outlive the men. So that is important also. In terms of this last contribution for this year, I personally would rather take this up on Thursday and look at the numbers again. I think at the retirement board meeting, which are public meetings, I had mentioned about possibly trying to find some compromise between where we need to be and where we are. But I'd like to look at the numbers again, if my colleagues are all right with that.
And I just want to add back to the county pensions. Up till 2005, it was funded by the county employees 100%, and the investments. When a county employee is hired, they're required to take anywhere from 8% minimum up to 18% of their salary.
Pre-tax dollars.
Pre-tax
Well,
dollars.
8 would be pre-tax,
Right.
10 is post-tax.
Yep. And that goes into this retirement account. So it's they're contributing as their employee here, and it's substantial. I mean, you think 8% of your check each week, that's some serious money. And so this is a 95% funded at this point. It's county employees that work here. It's their monies. The county has contributed into it since 2005, so it's starting to be bounced back, and it's something that we have to pay attention to. So it continues to be an excellent retirement fund. I know that people.
And from an investment perspective, we have performed in the top 1% of similar funds in the nation for 5 years now, I believe, at least minimum.
And that's exceptional.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one way to look at it, the number that you gave was very high, seemed high, or it's 1.9 million. If you divide that by the number of employees and the number of hours that they work in a given year, I think it comes out to possibly putting $1.50 an hour or less. I'm not sure. I haven't crunched the number. And
I never ran that.
It's less than $1.50 an hour.
Yeah, it's less than $1.50. But the point is that what you're saying to employees is, look, in addition to paying you this wage, we're going to give this amount of a contribution, with an understanding that you're contributing 8%. So someone who's making $10 an hour is putting 80 cents into it. But it's a way for people to be disciplined in their in preparing for their old age. So,
the majority of defined benefit packages are offered to who?
well, they used to be very common in the private sector, and they were
Well, are they
limited.
now?
They're in the public sector for the majority. I mean,
Majority.
there might be some, the auto workers have one.
98% of defined benefits are through the public sector. And I argue this all the time, that this needs to be changed. Why should government employees or people working for the public sector have a benefit that the private sector does not have, a guaranteed pension? Yeah, I understand your argument, Commissioner, but it is now even more important that we mind our money. Okay, and like the second one here, I think it's 8.27. Last year, we decided not to contribute totally every month, simply because of the market. And for some reason, we didn't seize that opportunity, because we did make a commitment to make a payment. Okay, to make a lump sum payment versus monthly. And I voted no for this monthly payment for a number of reasons. One, the volatility of the market, but secondly, we have no clue what's going to be budgeted by the state. We have no clue as far as the children and youth in the mental health, what they're going to receive, and if they don't receive it from the state, county taxpayers are going to have to pay the bill. Okay, and we have been diligent as far as putting money into this fund to where we're 95% funded.
Well, and after 2007, we had dipped, I don't think we've ever been below 80, but we had dipped, and now we are back again to 95% funded.
Yeah, but when
It was
you're
still
paying
healthy.
$2 million a year
I know.
out of the taxpayers' money, that's a lot of money, and we're talking a 1-to-1 match, by the way. So the reason why I voted no on the one prior is because I do not believe, that we're making the right decision by I don't know, what is it, a month, 100 and some thousand a month. When we're pretty good as far as being funded, we're in the top 1% probably.
We can set the amount. It's just,
Right.
It's important to pay it monthly because again, it's either you pay monthly or you pay it all when the bill comes due, which can be
Harder.
yeah, it can be hard on your cash flow.
Well, so the other thing is that in investing, the principle of cost averaging investing says that if you put it in a regular amount on a monthly basis, you're going to catch the highs in the market, you're going to catch the lows in the market, but you're going to, at the end of the day, be in a better place than trying to either time the market or do something else. So that was the other reason why I felt that doing the monthly contribution gives us the best.
People who try to time the market often lose.
Yeah.
It's
So-
best to invest and ride it out.
And the question of, the big question of whether we should have defined benefit pension plans is one that we could debate. I would prefer to say, let's bring the rest of society to a higher level rather than sort of constantly eroding. And unfortunately, and I use the term politics, not in the sense of politics, Republican, Democrat, but there's the politics of scarcity, where we all sort of look at our neighbor and we say, oh, well, why should he have health insurance? I don't have it. Why should he have a pension? I don't have it. And that kind of perception in our communities, I think, is destructive because it doesn't allow us to, first of all, respect that all peoples have worked hard for what they have, because obviously staying here for 32 years is, on the one hand, it's great job security. On the other hand, there's other things you didn't do for 32 years. I mean, I haven't been here for 32 years. I can tell you some of the things I've done, but you don't want to hear them right now. But you know what I'm saying? I've had an opportunity to do many different things that I could have done, whether it was traveling around the world, working overseas, working in different places. And those, when you decide to commit yourself. Now, the flip side is there were years I was probably not making any money, or, so it's a choice we make in life. But I don't think we should judge each other and diminish what we want from each other. Someone who dedicates themselves to a private business for 32 years can end up becoming worth a lot of money, or they might not be worth anything. They might go broke. I mean, but my point is that we all make choices and we shouldn't degrade the choices each of us makes, but we should try to find a way. As long as people are also doing it themselves. Employees are putting in 8%.
A minimum.
At a minimum. Required.
Yeah.
Not a choice. Required.
Yeah.
So I think that as the public looks at this, they should think about the fact that we all get a helping hand somewhere, and I don't view this as a helping hand. This is earned. In other words, we're saying quid pro quo, you work here, we're going to pay you X amount an hour, and we're also going to put X per hour into a pension plan for you. We're going to give X per hour for a health care plan. I don't think we have to be ashamed, and I don't think we have to apologize for it, but we do have to be respectful of the fact that there are many out there struggling. And that, I think, is what you may be getting at. And
Oh, yeah,
I
I'm
understand
not
that.
seeking any apologies. They work for their pensions. The issue is, and we're seeing it nationally with our government, pass continuing resolution, passing trillions of dollars in aid right now that they have no intention of paying back, none. And that's the same way with unfunded pensions across this country. we're 95% funded. And these legislators will rob Peter to pay Paul. Hell, they're not even worried about that anymore, okay? My biggest fear, and it will come to fruition, is that we're gonna have 100% funded, pension, and this will be taken over by huge public sector metropolitan areas that are underfunded. They're 40% funded, okay? What do you think is gonna happen? They're gonna confiscate our pensions and bring it into one pension plan. That's what's going to happen. And that's not my argument anyway, but look for it. That's what's gonna happen. I have no problem giving one lumps, but I have no problem postponing it either because of what's going, the uncertainty of, not the market, the uncertainty of revenue for the rest of this year and 2021.
Okay, we'll discuss it more on Thursday. Thank you.
You want me to read the RFP? Do you want these
Yeah,
numbers
please.
read?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yep.
The TSP drive-it repairs, we had 2 RFPs. Hout Group bid amount was $367,747. HPCI and H&P.
I'm sorry, could you read the first one again?
Hout Group,
Yep.
$367,747.
Okay.
HPCI, H&P Construction was $234,750. The next one is the engineering and surveying services for Hughesville Water Authority Tower Site and Hester Hill Tower Site. I did not write down the separate pricing. I wrote down grand total for both sites from each proposer. Civil and environmental consultants was $196,490.
I'm sorry, read that again?
$196,490.
Okay.
L. Robert Kimball and Associates, $205,785. Century Engineering, $126,625. Stahl Schaefer Engineering, $151,310.40. Penn Core Consulting, $109,880. McTish Kunkel, $164,300. Audubon Field Solutions, $296,571.30. Mead and Hunt, $158,360.50. Hunt, $133,632.60.
The Hunt.
Yes, just plain Hunt?
Yes.
Yes.
Are they the same?
No, they were 2 different companies.
2 different companies. Wow.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Could be under the same umbrella, I'm not sure.
Okay.
ATC Group Services, $143,375. RK Webster, $150,600. Larson Design Group, $125,405. And Bassett Engineering, $112,410. Yeah, $112,410. This one, last one's gonna be quick because of it being professional engineering and consulting services. There are multiple fee structures. There's no grand totals. And they will be charged as used, so.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Commissioner comment.
I'd just like to add that the census that is going on right now is way down in the county, which is not good.
Nationwide.
Excuse me?
Nationwide.
Nationwide, too. We need to make sure each resident's counted. For the tax dollars alone, it's $2,000 per resident, and it's over a 10-year period. So that's $20,000 in revenue to come from the state and federal government for each resident in the county over that period of time. So we have a link. Jerry, you want to elaborate on that on our website that you have set up? You want to state something about that? Put you on the spot.
We placed a banner on the front of lyco.org for anyone who wants to go out there and do the census bureau.
Do the census right there on our website.
Takes you right there.
You know, takes you right to it, and you can register right there on the census right on our website. So I believe the deadline is now September 30th, if I'm not mistaken. And it's so very important that we get each resident in our county to register on the census.
And it is, but, you know, we own a lot of properties, all three of us, and we work on them, and plus we're elected officials, so we're out in the community quite a bit, and we see the census takers. And we see them at 9 o'clock in the morning, we see them at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And one of the things that I just don't understand is that we need to change a few things here. They come by our apartments looking for our students who aren't in school, right? You know, they're not there. And yet, they should be on our census. So why aren't they just going to the colleges and saying, hey, how many do you have enrolled? And write those numbers down. That makes common sense, okay? It's better to be overcounted than undercounted. And trust me, we will be undercounted. So that's one area that needs improvement dramatically, because those students use our services, county services, borough services, emergency services, and it's not going to be anywhere close. Now, I'm not sure what the enrollment is right now. That they didn't even give us any numbers. Okay, but I would say between the two, it's got to be over 10,000 people, which is a significant amount of people. Not to mention, you know, just the residential, the way they go through the residential process. And I'm not criticizing them. It's very difficult for them to find people at home at times, you know, and then they're counting on their neighbor to get information, which I'm fine with that, but there's just got to be an easier way and a more accurate way to report your census.
Well, actually, you make a good point, because if you live in an apartment building with a front door that's locked, you're not going to have a census taker be able to get into the building and then knock on your apartment door. So the point that Commissioner Metzger is saying about the website is that you got to go to that website, and that's what Commissioner Massera is saying. If you live in a locked building, nobody's going to ever count you unless you make sure you count yourself. So go to the website, take the proactive step, and get counted.
It takes less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And here's what's alarming. Just Williamsport alone, what are 60% of the residents?
They're rental properties.
They're rental properties. They're rental properties.
Yeah.
This is a major problem for small cities and small communities like ours. Williamsport, you know, it's high. That's very high. So, I don't know. We have to try to get these numbers more accurate because they're not there.
You know, the other thing is that we lose money. As a state, we could lose a position in Congress.
Yes.
We've lost a position over the last 10 years, I think, in the last census. So it's important to get counted. Probably the single most important thing you could do right now this year. because it's going to have an impact.
Next 10 years.
Like you said, 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, public comment at this time. Yes, you step up to the podium, please state your name for the record, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Maybe morning people in the audience.
Could you please speak into the microphone so we can hear you? Thank you.
Again, one of the things that I'm just curious about is the fact that we're still going through this pandemic, and unfortunately in our area, it's getting to be a little more hectic than what it used to be. The rural areas are getting hit the hardest again. We're getting a lot of different areas that we're getting the wrong conversation going with people who say that this is a hoax. It's not true. I see it all the time. I've been all over the place in the PA here so far. And it's amazing to me that we have to have a plan in place to do something. I mean, everything that was said today shows me that there's a lot of respect going on in this county. All different kind of agencies working their tail off, and now we have a problem with this pandemic. It's just, and again, I know that you follow stuff on the internet. It's not a good deal. So in turn, what I did was, back on Friday, I made a conversation to the state health department, right to the executive secretary, and asked some questions, because there was a couple sites on there that said that there was a 3-foot limitation on self-distancing. That's not a true statement. It's a false statement. The state came back with an email to me that it is a 6-foot it's a 6-foot limitation, and everyone should be following the same status of what they said 8 months ago. But unfortunately, there's many areas that we're not covering. I, for one, have traveled different counties looking at different areas, and we're sitting in an area that's not, let's just say, we're not having a lot of cases, but within our jurisdiction, or our area, we have a number of counties around here, their numbers are going completely out of cycle. They're going way up. So with that being said, I'm just curious that I know back 2 weeks ago, back in the past a little bit, that it was stated that information was brought to your attention by one of our people who was in the audience, that he said 6 foot, and he came back and said it was only, CDC said it was 3 foot. Well, in correspondence with that, with the email I got from the state, the executive secretary, it is 6 foot. Just to clarify that.
Okay, if you go to the World Health Organization,
I've been there.
3.24 feet.
I've been there.
It's a metro.
I've been there.
And that's what they said. Also, the CDC also said they've changed. Now, the state has stuck with their 6 foot.
That's correct.
Right, but the World Health Organization says 3.24 feet.
Unfortunately, with this documentation, with the website that was issued, which I looked at precisely on this, it says, quote, "This is not guidelines from the CDC. This is our guidelines we're trying from different parts of the world." So with that in mind, again, there's contradiction out there, because there's no book to be bought with the CDC guidelines. You have to physically go into the calendar and look at everything that's being changed, and it changes on a daily basis.
That's correct.
Daily basis.
Yesterday,
I've been there.
Friday, the CDC said no longer for the 14-day quarantine if you come back. Yes, come back out of the state. So what's going on is the CDC, the World Health Organization, comes out with different recommendations, and what the state feels that they want to fit into their agenda, they do.
That's correct.
Yep.
And the problem being is, with all the colleges and schools taking back up in session, I've seen numerous colleges in the process of probably being shut down again because of leadership problems, not being told how they're supposed to represent people in the organization. Penn State's a prime example. The first day back, 146 of them tested positive. Now they're talking about shutting down the university at Penn State. And that's a proven fact. So without respect, that's all I want to bring to your attention about that is we need to have a plan in place that we understand everyone has to follow the same procedures. Every store is different. some stores, whatever. And there again, when it comes to number of people inside a building, that's deception, because believe you me, it's not a true statement. It used to be people were counting people going into the store, and when they come out of the store, they knew exactly who was in the store. But with all the stuff that's going on, people threatening people not to be able to go into the store. I was just recently at this big box store over the weekend. A lady stood outside from the floor she was employed at. The resident came up to her, was going to go into the store, and she said, "You have to have a mask on." I thought she was going to, she took it pretty bad. The guy was all over her about this stuff. Again, this isn't a hoax, this is true fact. We do have a problem, and I know you all better understand that. I know Tony has problems with different things, medical problems. I certainly hope that everyone comes to work safe and goes home safe at night, and no one in their family gets sick over this COVID-19. With that, I will close. Thank you.
Thank you. Any Republic comment this time? Could you state your name for the record again?
Bill Fenderson.
Bill Fenderson. Hearing none, we'll be adjourned, and we will meet again on Thursday, August 27th at 10 a.m. Thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah, across the street.